back. I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Bond Group in Waltham, Massachusetts, on this beautiful pre-spring March day, the weather has cleared for us to drive this 1986 BMW M5. This is the first generation, the E28. But more so than being one of the coolest cars ever built, this one has a Dinan turbocharger. Back in the 1980s, Dinan would sell you for $30,000 a turbo kit to boost your M5. So instead of having about 250 to 280 horsepower in your M5, you'd end up with over 400 horsepower. And that means if you were lining up next to Testarossas or other supercars of the day, your M5 was probably going to dust them and absolutely shock them because no one saw this coming. This is the ultimate sleeper, and I'm really excited to take you for a ride today. Now, if you're curious about what this is, there's so much more to the story because the early days of the M5 were not sold in North America. So for the first couple of years, these were Euro only, and they only came with the 3.5 liter M88 3. These are the same engines that would have gone into the BMW M1, which I've been very fortunate to drive a long time ago, would love to experience that again. But it's really neat to see that engine go into a sports saloon, a sedan, a normal family car. And what's even cooler is that there were tuning houses out there that were ready to nearly double the power at about 75%. And what's great is they don't stop at the power. They also improve the handling. It's got beefier sway bars, lowering springs, and these fancy big brakes. Thankful for those because this car is not slow. And gorgeous BBS wheels, a 17-inch wheel fitted with a 225 section all around, and they're a bit old, so we're probably going to be spinning tires today and maybe not exactly exploring the limits in a corner. But I assure you, this car is pure theater, and it's one of the most exciting things I've driven in a very long time. And I'm really happy that today's the day we're driving it because the weather is finally clearing up. The snow is melting. It's just the best sound in the world, listening to water go down the drain. Anyway, let me show you under the hood because this is really exciting. Now, the North American market got the BMW M5 for one model year in 1988 that was fitted with the S38 instead of the M88. So under here, a relatively familiar sight until you start poking around and noticing intercoolers, charge pipes, and down here you can see Dinan right down there, and then your blow-off valve and all this kind of fun stuff. But in true M fashion, you get individual throttle bodies. Look at all that. This is just absolutely fantastic. And I love the E28 because it's such an unassuming car. It's definitely not a timeless design because it looks old, but in the best possible way. It has all the trimmings of a BMW that we're used to, but it's just a little bit old. It definitely bridges the gap from those 70s cars into what we are probably more familiar with in the E34 and then the E39. But this goes to show that the ethos, the philosophy, the understanding of what the M5 was going to be occurred early. They knew they needed to perform. They knew they needed to be a little bit over the top. And even without this turbocharged setup, this thing is an absolute beast and people love them. But what's great is how people tuned them, how people took this platform and went further. Because just like we saw in Sweden, when I first started looking at internet videos on streetfire.net before YouTube, you could see these Nordic countries taking Volvos and BMWs and putting big old turbos on them and just making 1,000 horsepower. And it was the best thing in the world to see what we considered to be sort of nerdy executive cars performing like absolute supercars. So let's get it started up and I'll show you what this sounds like because it's pretty outrageous. It's a little cammy, it's definitely tuner, it sounds unlike any inline-six BMW I've heard in a long time. And in here, you can see like a Dinan box and some tuning things that we're not gonna touch. But what's great is just how cool this sounds from its big old center exhaust. I guess off-center exhaust. But it's one pipe. It's doing all the work. I love these door handles. They remind me of my neighbor growing up. He had a 323, and I thought that was really cool. This still has that bassy rumble that I remember from that car. But this, oh, performance, luxury, and it's really cozy back here. These rear seats are so comfortable. But yeah, let's take it out and go for a drive. I mean, I just can't believe the condition of this car. It's staggering. These seats are fantastic. I mean, if this hasn't been redone or reupholstered, then I'm just blown away. Someone really kept this in a proper bubble. So we've got an air fuel mix right here. We've got our voltage, we've got boost pressure, we've got oil temperature, we've got water temperature up here, and a 5-speed manual gearbox. The great melt is beginning. Let's get out and make some whooshy noises. That's all wheel spin. We're gonna have to give that a second shot. This thing has so much torque. Oh my goodness. That's all wheel spin. Oh my goodness. That's like really fast. And it's doing a lot. I mean, yes, these tires might be a little bit aged, but it's still only a 235 section tire. This thing has more torque than my E29 M5. So it's like not the most fair to expect it to cope. Such a different character than an E39 too. I mean, holy cow. I know we're talking about sort of similar horsepower, but this feels a lot more sketchy and fast, and it wants to bite you. The way this power comes on is really the story. grateful for the brakes. Don't know why that Volvo needs to get back in the left lane. Terrible lane etiquette up here. So I don't know who's driven this car. I don't know that it's been driven very much. I'm going to be nice to it just because I don't want to run into any issues. I know that, you know, it's definitely gone through some tuning and it's running pretty strong, but we'd like to keep it that way. Wow, this is amazing. It's also just a totally different thing having a turbo BMW from the 80s. It is not like today. It is not like a turbo M5 of today, which of course we have, and this is a completely different animal than a turbo BMW of today. Of course everything's turbocharged today. Now they're hybrid M5s. This is a much bigger deal. This is something else. Can I tell you a secret? I've never driven an E28 M5. I've only driven 535s. So to get in this car and this be my first E28 M5 experience is actually really awesome. So I'm sure it likes revs, and as I'm adding some throttle at low revs, I'm adding just a little bit of throttle. I'm not trying to bog it down or give it anything it doesn't want to do. This is such a sleeper, just like no one would know. Times where I'm not able to go wide open throttle there just because you can see we're spinning through second, hitting third hard and just going for it. I mean, that could be an introduction to a wall. So you gotta have some respect for what you're driving, and it goes to show that character and chassis and tire all really matter, because we've driven plenty of 6, 7, 800 horsepower cars up that hill wide open, multiple gears on the paddles, all-wheel drive, 325s in the rear in a 911 or something, But there's an inherent character in like a tuner car like this, where it really was top dog. It really was pushing the boundaries of what a chassis could do, what an engine can do, and what a tire could do, that you've just got to be respectful of at all times. Ooh, yes, beautiful squeaky brakes. Squeaky brakes are not bad. Squeaky brakes are race brakes. Do not complain about your squeaky brakes. On your sports car, at least. Come on, guys, let's go. We'll be giving this a bath when we get back. The tricky thing with those sections is you don't know how deep they go. This is fine, but when you see water that's kind of shimmering like that, you've got to really take into account the fact that that might be a hole filled with water. Great color. This is still pretty easy to drive though, despite the terror that unfolds with wide open throttle and boost coming in over about 4,000 RPM. It's still just a BMW sedan. I love coming around a corner at like 10 or 12 miles an hour and still having someone look at you like you're a maniac. It's unreal. This may well be one of the coolest cars I've ever driven on this channel. And maybe it's because I'm a BMW nerd, maybe it's because like I was a child of the 80s and tuner stuff was just wild. The magazines used to go nuts for these types of things. You'd see things like this in magazines. You'd see them testing Callaway C3 Corvettes against Ferraris, and these were times when a sports sedan could compete with essentially a supercar. And it was all because of dreamers like Steve Dinan, who just knew that they could extract more from these power units. And it's power units. I've been watching too much Formula One. From this engine. And man, there's something really special about having a car that was sort of period correct with its tuner. There's plenty of crazy Swedes out there tuning up Volvo 740s and 240s and stuff with big old turbos. But those are like at-home builds, and while they're completely impressive and wild, it's so neat to see a car that you would have been able to actually buy, and someone would have had to install this, and it would have had to be approved, and to spend 30 grand on your turbo upgrade. What a baller move. And to spend 30 grand on your turbo upgrade that you kind of didn't want anyone to know about unless you showed them, because nothing else about this car is shouty. You would never know. And if you had a North American spec E28 M5, they were all identical. They all came in black with tan, black with tan, black with tan. There was no other option. It's like Henry Ford. You can have any color you want as long as it's black. Absolute monster. And there's just no nannies. There's no buttons to hit. There's no traction control to disable. You are the traction control. You need to make decisions that are going to keep you and your passengers safe and fast. That's it. commuter. Holy cow, what a dream. Put some heat into this thing too, and it has just behaved. I don't want to jinx it, but look, sometimes you get turbo cars from the 80s, tuner cars at that, especially cars that have lived a, you know, not a life, but 26,000 miles. It's seen some things. It's probably been in and out of some shops. The fact that this is just running as well as it is completely impressive. And, you know, it's also why I'm not pushing it too hard, because I'm fully aware that the way these cars can be, they can be temperamental. And I've driven 930s, for example, stock 930s, and then they start to get agitated or they get a little heat soaked, and then they start pulling power. And this has not done any of those things, but I am trying to respect what it is and not just, you know, overcook it. You can't always treat classic cars the way you treat new cars. And this is a good example of that, where you want to build your way up, see what it likes, see what it doesn't like, check the temps, and just kind of work your way through that. Oh, I'm so jealous. I want to be out with these guys. I'm sorry to them for like polluting their air, because this probably doesn't smell great. Sorry to you guys for a little bit of wind noise, but it's worth mentioning how strong this gearbox feels, how great the shifts are. It's definitely like a short shifter. The rear end just locks up. It's pretty impressive. And the steering is just sublime. It's so tight. I mean, it's not that heavy, but you know, it's definitely power assisted, and it provides phenomenal feedback. Yeah, this was really special. So anyway, I'm gonna go wind this thing back to Bond Group. I'm really thrilled that I got a taste of this. I don't think there's very many of these out there. There's plenty of turbo E28 M5s out there, but I don't know of any Dinan ones that maybe came with the original Dinan turbo setup. This is really special. There's very few of these, and I was unable to find a single video of one. So I'm sure a lot of you are going to say you didn't drive it hard enough. I drove it as hard as this car deserves to be driven right now on this day, with lots of potholes and melting everything everywhere on these tires. So I'm happy with what we did. I'm happy we got to kind of explore it a little bit. This is really exciting to me. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one. Something to note, old turbo engines, man, they are not as good at just cooling themselves down as modern turbos. So this one doesn't have a turbo timer, but it is a good idea to just like let your engine run for a minute or two or 3 or 4, just to let things settle out, cool down. We have not engaged any boost for a little bit, so I think we are in the clear, but just a good idea, just so everything's copacetic and healthy. You don't just pull into a spot and cut it. You let it sit for a minute.